Most creators don't have a motivation problem. They don't have a discipline problem, and they definitely don't have a not enough tools problem. What they usually have is a systems problem. If your to do list is feeling endless, if you're constantly switching between content, email, products, tech, and social, or if you've bought the courses and downloaded the templates and are still feeling behind, it's not because you're bad at business. It's because you're trying to scale without an operating structure, and you cannot scale chaos. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 systems that make up what I like to call the creator operating system, and I'll show you how they work together to replace overwhelm with clarity. Hi, in case we haven't met, I'm Liz Stapleton from Creator Ops Hub. I'm a systems-focused online business owner, and I help creators build with clarity and scale without chaos through what I like to call the creator operating system. Now, when you hear operating system, you're probably thinking of your computer, Mac OS, Windows, iOS. An operating system isn't flashy. It's not the apps, it's not the design, it's the infrastructure that makes everything work. It coordinates processes, it manages resources, and it prevents programs from crashing into each other. It creates predictable behavior. Your creator business needs the same thing because right now, most creator businesses are running like this. They have content created randomly, promotions are decided last minute, emails are written under pressure, links are saved in 5 different places, and metrics are often checked emotionally instead of strategically. And that's not a business problem, it's an operating system problem. So the creator operating system isn't a tool, although I use tools to execute it. I personally am favorable to Airtable, but it's not about the tool. It's not whether you use Airtable or Notion or Google Docs. It's the structural framework that governs how your business runs. So it's 5 connected systems that create clarity, predictability, and scalability. So I'm going to walk you through each one. First up, we have planning systems. So this is the entry point. If you don't have this, everything else feels reactive. So what a planning system does is it helps you decide what you're working on, when you're going to work on it, why it matters, and just as importantly, what not to work on. So planning is not a to-do list, it's a strategic constraint. And a lot of failure around planning happens where, creators will plan content but not promotions. You'll plan a launch but not recovery time. And maybe you make weekly lists that are disconnected from actual revenue producing activities. Maybe you say yes to opportunities without checking for capacity, and you confuse busy with aligned, and you're just constantly feeling behind. And that's not because you're lazy, it's because nothing is filtering decisions. So a simple planning system, and there's lots of different ones you could do, but just keeping it simple. If once per month you just take an hour to answer 4 questions, and it may not even take an hour, ask yourself, what is the month's primary business focus? What revenue driver supports that focus? What content supports that revenue driver? And then what gets removed to protect your capacity? So for example, if your focus is growing your email list, your revenue driver might be a lead magnet push. So your content needs to align with that. Instead of 5 random ideas, you create 3 pieces of content all tied to that lead magnet, and you remove any unrelated mini projects. The one decision eliminates weeks of scattered effort. Planning systems are designed to reduce decision fatigue before it even starts. So this is generally where a lot of creators need to begin. If you already have some sort of planning system in place, fantastic. Next, you want to move on to the second system, which is content systems. So once you know what you're creating, you need a predictable way to create it. So content systems manage idea capture, organization, drafting workflow, editing stages, publication, and repurposing. Without a system, content becomes 47 open tabs, random notes here and there, file names with final v3, ideas stuck in your notes app, maybe drafts lost in your Google Drive, and it's not creative chaos, it's structural chaos. So a lot of times we'll create without tracking, we'll publish without repurposing, you'll repurpose without strategy, and you'll start writing before knowing what the purpose is. So if you're always relying on memory instead of a process, it becomes a lot harder to both get consistent and just make stuff work to its maximum ability. And, I've definitely struggled with this in the past. It's a very common thing. So don't feel bad if you're there. Basically, you need to make sure every piece of content, whether it's a video, whether it's a blog post, whether it's an email, moves through these 6 stages. It needs to have an outline, a draft, it needs to be edited, it needs to be published, and then potentially repurposed. And we'll get more to that in the next system. But the point is, nothing skips a stage, nothing jumps ahead, and every idea should be categorized by a goal. For example, this video I'm recording right now. Ideally, it's going to support my authority positioning and long-term discoverability. And so I'm going to label it that way. And that means 6 months from now, when I'm reviewing performance, I'll know exactly what it was built to do. I'm not guessing, oh, why did I record that again? A content system protects your creative energy by removing friction. Next up is the third system, and this is the distribution system. Because creating the content is not the finish line, it's the starting line. The distribution system should answer, once something is created, how does it move? So this could include email rhythm, social promotion, evergreen scheduling, re-promotion cycles, and offer integration. So a lot of creators will publish once and just hope, but hope isn't a strategy, right? Publishing a blog post, like, it's not Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. You need to promote it. You need to create Pinterest pins. You need to share on social. You need to share it with your email list. There's a million different ways you can promote things. But if you're just posting once and you're never revisiting it, or you're emailing your list inconsistently, you're forgetting about high performing content you have, or you're over promoting during launches and then disappearing afterwards because you're exhausted, which is completely understandable, it's going to cause that whole, feast famine cycle and create those revenue spikes without any actual stability. So let's say you publish, for example, a YouTube video. Your distribution system might look like this. On day one, it's published, it's out into the YouTube SEO world, and then you email your list to tell them about it. Maybe you reformat it into a short form clip, you build a related blog post or a resource tie-in and you embed it there, you reshare to new subscribers in month 2. And then quarterly, you review if it supports a current promotion window. Now that single asset has a life cycle. Instead of one post, it becomes multiple touch points, right? And we all know that people need multiple touch points with us before they're going to convert to a sale or an opt-in or whatever the case may be, or even just a follow. So distribution systems multiply your effort without multiplying the work. That's the whole point of them. System number 4, which I will readily admit I struggle with the most, is the information and asset system. And so this is a back-end clarity that a lot of creators ignore. And while I have gotten a lot better about it, I do still struggle. It's a work in progress. We're not aiming for perfection, guys. We're aiming for improvement. So this system is what manages your templates, links, brand assets, sales pages, automations, file naming, SOPs, and logins. Okay, this is your digital infrastructure. And a lot of times, what ends up happening when you don't have this is you're searching your inbox for links. You're digging through Canva for forever trying to find that one thing you created who knows how long ago. So you end up rebuilding templates, you're saving files in random folders, and you don't know where your metrics live. And a lot of times then you're just copying and pasting from old launches, and it just drains energy. It takes up time. So the simple rule for this is everything needs to have a home, a naming convention, and a version structure. So for example, instead of email launch final 3, you use 2026 Q1 product launch email sequence V1. It's searchable, it's sortable, it's scalable. And when your assets are organized, you move a lot faster automatically. You stop wasting cognitive energy on retrieval, and then you're able to scale. And I will say, since this is something I struggled for a long time in my business, while I'm much better about it now, I still have a lot of old content I've created and assets that I struggle to find. And so I've definitely been using AI to help me better rename it and organize my folders better. So that's one area that you can kind of pull AI in to help you with pretty easily. The final system is the review and optimization system. So this is where the growth actually happens. So your review system should answer, hey, what worked, what didn't, what wasted time, and what should be removed, okay? Without review, you're just going to repeat mistakes. And a common failure could be that you create, you publish, and you move on. But really what you need to be doing is create, distribute, review, and adjust. So if you're doing that, then you're not going to overreact emotionally if you have one bad week. That's not optimization, that's just anxiety. And with everything going on with running a business, not to mention the world, like, we don't need to add to our anxiety. So for, just kind of a practical example, if you just take 30 minutes a month and ask yourself 4 questions. What drove email growth? What converted? Where did I waste time? What gets removed next month? Notice remove is there, because when you're scaling and you're trying to grow, it's not about adding more things. It's about refining what is working and taking out what doesn't. So let's go back to how all the systems connect. First up, there's planning, and that drives content. And then you have the content system, which feeds distribution. Distribution relies on asset systems, asset and information systems. Asset systems can enable clean review, and review refines planning. It's circular, okay? It's predictable, it's stable. If one breaks, the other feels it. So a lot of creators will try to fix the stress within running their business by adding tactics, but the truth is clarity comes from reinforcing structure. So when you have all these systems in place, they all work well to support you so you can move quickly. And it could be at some point in your business, you're going to pivot, you're going to rebrand, whatever. And at that point, instead of, getting lost in the chaos of it, you need to go and reestablish that system to match where you're at now, to match that pivot. And it can feel slow in the moment because you're setting up that foundation or resetting that foundation. So it's going to allow you to move a lot faster later on and make it easier to scale. So if you're overwhelmed right now, don't add another tool, don't buy another random course. Work on strengthening your operation structure. Okay, start with planning, then build content workflows, then design a distribution rhythm, and then clean up your back-end assets and make sure you're reviewing consistently. That is how you manage to get clarity over hustle, structure over stress. So that's the creator operating system that I like to use and explain. And every video on this channel is meant to help strengthen one of those 5 areas. So as I create more content for this, that's what you can look forward to. And if you're not sure where your systems are breaking down right now, then start simple. I created a 10-minute time waster audit that will help you quickly identify where your business is leaking time and clarity. It's short, practical, and designed to give you immediate insight into what needs structural attention first. So you can grab that link below in the description, the channel stuff. Start there, build with clarity, and scale without chaos. And I will see you in the next video.